Hi, everybody. A lot of people think I'm from Philly, but I'm actually from New York City. Born in Brooklyn. Anybody from Brooklyn here? I was the odd one in the neighborhood. You know, the kids would be playing stickball and kick the can down the street, and I'd be out there occasionally, but more often than none, I was in the house watching the news. From the time I was 8 years old, I said, this is what I'm going to do. And I was very fortunate that someone got fired one day. He was the only male reporter on the staff. We had an all-female crew except for this one guy. And it ended up, I could hear screaming in a manager's office, and then the boss comes out and starts yelling, well, you give him my number. I thought, oh, this isn't good. And he looks down at me, he said, didn't you want to be a reporter? I said, yes, sir. And he goes, you're the new reporter on the show. And I went, oh, do I get a raise? He goes, don't push me. I was like, okay. And then 15 years ago, I got the call to join CBS3 here in Philadelphia. First as their consumer reporter, I started the 3 on Your Side consumer unit. And then 2 years ago, I was brought into the office. It was right before the Pope was coming to town, and I said, well, what's my assignment for the Pope? And they said, well, you're going to be anchoring the coverage. I said, I'm not an anchor. I said, I have no filter. There's big words, names. I don't do this. That's all right. You'll be with Pat Chiraki. Well, Pat Chiraki is basically the vice Pope. So I said, okay. Sister Pat and I are going to be anchoring this for how long? 5 hours, 2 days live. I remember right before we started the first show on Saturday morning, Pat grabbed my hand and she said, this will be an amazing ride. About an hour into the broadcast, Pope landed, and all of a sudden he gets out of the Pope-mobile and goes to some disabled children and starts blessing. And I start crying on television. And I'm talking sobbing. And then Pat Chiraki starts sobbing. And I remember thinking, well, at least they won't assign me to anchor ever again. I'll get out of this thing. 2 days later, I go back to the station, and the boss calls me in the office, and I before he even said something, I said, look, I know. I said, I'm sorry, I was crying on TV. I said, but I'm an emotional sponge. I told you shouldn't have given me this opportunity. And at the time, the morning anchor job was open. Everyone in the station had applied for it except for me. And he looked at me, he goes, it's all right. I want you to be our new morning anchor. And I looked at him and said, I don't understand here. And he points at a big stack of emails, and he said, the viewers will accept you as an anchor. So, well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here today. I hope you enjoy your lunch, and thank you for supporting Alice's Foundation. Now we'll hand the microphone back to Michelle.